Clearly that's a foul.
It's contact to the face as well. It'd be interesting.
Are we really about to watch the Indiana Fever risk everything on one player's health again? Why is Caitlin Clark back on the court before her body even had a chance to rest?
To know if they're going to look at that first one for a flagrant foul. There was an impact, or there wasn't wind up or follow through, but
hey, pause a bit and like this video and click that subscribe button. Flexing that ankle late in the game is one thing, but flexing her entire career on a tweak at midcourt is reckless. This isn't just a bruise or a tweak. It's the second time this season Clark's been carted off, and fans are beyond worried. The real outrage isn't just that she got hurt again, it's that nearly everyone involved seemed to ignore the obvious warning signs. From the referees who let opposing teams hack her unpunished, to Fever head coach Stephanie White's day-to-day press line that feels more like damage control than actual concern, it all adds up to one ugly truth: Caitlin Clark isn't being protected by the people paid to look out for her.
There was a direct hit to the eye of Clark, and then just a totally unnecessary body bump.
WNBA built a Cinderella story around Clark's rookie season, and now they're letting that dream turn into a nightmare. When ratings plummeted after her last absence, league executives quietly panicked, and yet here we are, weeks later, staring down the possibility of another multi-game layoff. The pattern is impossible to ignore. Her legs been taped, strapped, and re-injured, and instead of hitting pause, the Fever seemed to keep her on a treadmill to break down. Now on the cusp of marquee events like the Commissioner's Cup Final and the All-Star Game, the real question is whether Clark will ever get the rest she desperately needs, or whether she'll be rushed back into the fire, risking not just her season, but her entire career.
Game of the season, the Fever are 2-3 without her. Those 9 assists per game, right up there among the top.
The sequence started innocuously. Clark caught the inbounds at half court, her signature confidence radiating as she dribbled forward. But as she cut toward the basket, her body betrayed her. She stumbled, then crumpled, clutching that same groin area she'd been nursing under heavy wraps for weeks. Fans watching at home recoiled. By now, they've become all too familiar with these moments of hope turning into heartbreak. Viewers remember the bloody ankle against Connecticut, the taped quad against New York, and now this fresh groin tweak that feels like the proverbial final straw.
Yeah.
Will Bay be here?
Who?
Is Bay gonna be here?
No, he's working. Yeah. Yeah. I'm flying solo. I better get used to it, man. This is the drill. This is my job.
Stephanie White's postgame, where day-to-day mantra once sounded reasonable, a coach buying time for healing, but it's lost all credibility after back-to-back rehabs and comebacks that lasted mere minutes. The problem isn't just treatment protocols, it's a strategy error. When Clark's body starts to compensate for one injury, other areas tighten and weaken, leading to a cascade of setbacks. In this case, her relentless drive to stay on the court has turned into a ticking time bomb. Each time she returns, she risks injuring something new. And yet, rather than pull her from danger, the Fever doubled down, convinced that benching their star would doom ticket sales and tarnish their narrative. The result? A season teetering on the brink of disaster and fans screaming for someone, anyone, to put Clark's health ahead of the highlight reel.
Excellent passing season as well. Her assist numbers, oh no, Caitlin Clark has yet. So Ryan Howard picks up the foul.
By now, Fever fans have heard every version of the day-to-day line. It rolls off Stephanie White's tongue like a script she's painfully memorized. But fans don't want platitudes, they want answers, timelines, and most of all, accountability. Each day-to-day press release feels like a brush-off designed to placate ticket holders and sponsors, while the real issue, long-term healing, remains unaddressed. Social feeds have exploded with theories, from mismanagement of recovery to plain neglect. Pundits trace back her performance slump, 1 for 23 from 3, as evidence that she's never fully recovered from that brutal Connecticut game.
Pressure she had on her shoulders coming into the ankle one more time, right? That's rookie seasons and
Worse, video clips of Clark entering games with heavy leg straps have become the latest proof point. 1 minute she's celebrating a three-pointer, the next she's hobbling off, taped up like a wounded animal. Fans ask, was she ever truly healthy between those returns? The cries for transparency grew so loud that some media outlets started demanding specific medical updates instead of the usual ambiguous sound bites. The underlying message is clear. Supporters won't be fooled anymore. They see the pattern: rushed returns, repeated injuries, and zero clear plan to break the cycle. And as the Fever's record stutters, impatience has turned to anger. When a coach's primary job is to protect players, every moment Clark spends in pain is a failure of leadership.
Walk me through your perspective on the flagrant foul. What was the point you were trying to make to her?
It's just a good take foul, you know? If you don't, either Angel gets...
Coaches aren't just strategists, they're caretakers. When a star player like Caitlin Clark steps off the bench at 45 seconds left in a decided game, the decision isn't about winning, it's about risk management. Yet in that Seattle game, Clark was thrust back onto the court, a move fans saw as reckless. With the outcome already secured, why risk further injury? The answer, as critics see it, boils down to marketing and money. Clark's presence is a ratings gold mine. Every game she misses sends viewership into free fall, so instead of erring on the side of caution, the Fever rolled the dice on her durability, hoping to keep the momentum alive. This gamble backfired spectacularly. Not only did Clark aggravate her injury, but the optics of a coach ignoring player safety sparked an uproar that transcends basketball. Sports writers compared it to Tyrese Halliburton's Achilles crisis in the NBA Finals, another case where a superstar's refusal to rest led to career-altering consequences. The lesson, chilling for any athlete, is that even the toughest competitor has limits. When a coach ignores those limits for short-term gain, the fallout isn't just a lost game, it's a fractured trust between fans, players, and management. For Clark, whose rookie season reshaped the WNBA's future, this could be a career-defining moment. If she ever gets the chance to play again,
Wide open 2 points, or, you know, we send him to the free throw line. Nothing malicious about it. It's just a take foul. Every basketball player knows that.
Caitlin Clark isn't just an Indiana Fever player, she's the league's de facto poster child. Her absence last time saw a 50% drop in viewership, a cliff that executives can't afford to revisit. Now, with the Commissioner's Cup and All-Star Weekend looming, the stakes are astronomical. Every missed game translates into millions in lost ad revenue, dwindling merchandise sales, and a potential hit to new CBA negotiations. Players know this all too well. When your star goes down, the ripple effects cripple more than just one team. Fans have begun demanding league-wide change, stricter officiating to curb illegal hits, transparent medical bulletins, and a cultural shift from play through pain to rest to return stronger. They point to other professional leagues where stars receive clear protection, automatic reviews, quick whistles, and sanctions for repeat offenders. The WNBA has built a reputation for grit and resilience, but now it must prove it values health over headlines. Because if Clark's next injury sidelining her for months forces sponsors to pull back and viewers to wander off, the backlash won't just be loud, it could reshape the women's game for a generation.
Speaking of relationships, Alyssa Thomas, during the playoffs, she spoke out and condemned racism. The Fever fans...
The pressure from sponsors and media outlets has created an environment where every move Caitlin Clark makes is under a microscope. Brands pay top dollar to associate their logos with her image, and that financial investment demands visibility. When Clark sits, cameras pan elsewhere, social media chatter wanes, and advertisers bristle at lower engagement metrics. This commercial tug-of-war conflicts directly with medical advice. Take the time you need or risk chronic damage. Suddenly, the question isn't only will she recover, but can any athlete survive the combined weight of expectation and endorsement without breaking down? Meanwhile, fantasy sports and betting markets have latched onto Clark's rookie season, driving unprecedented wagering on WNBA games. Platforms promote odds-heavy matchups featuring her name, and bettors scour injury reports for insight. Every day-to-day update ignites fresh speculation, Twitter threads explode, and mobile push notifications ping about her status. That frenzy adds another layer of pressure on the Fever's medical and coaching staff. They must juggle genuine health concerns with an economy that thrives on uncertainty and dramatic shifts in lineup.
For being the Fever fans.
Yeah, they wanted to latch on to Caitlin Clark and then use her as like this fuel to be able to...
Teammates have voiced concern behind closed doors, worried that Clark's load will force others into unfamiliar roles. When the star plays injured, the whole offense adjusts around her limited mobility, creating ill-fitting rotations and defensive gaps. Those makeshift lineups expose other players to high-stress minutes, potentially increasing their risk of injury too. The team dynamic frays as some bench players feel underutilized, while others rush to cover the void, inviting more mistakes and physical wear. It's a domino effect. One key figure pushed too hard, and the entire squad's rhythm unravels. On social media, fans debate whether Clark's historic college workload contributed to her fragile start in the pros. She logged more minutes at Iowa than any recent draft pick, generating legendary hype but possibly overtaxing her youthful body. Critics argue that the transition from collegiate pace to WNBA intensity demands a recalibrated training approach, something that may have been overlooked. If Clark's conditioning wasn't adapted for professional demands, her musculoskeletal system could be predisposed to recurring strains. In that light, her rookie season becomes less an instant success story and more a cautionary tale about athlete development.
Be the way that they want it to be. They want her to be the representation of their racism, and she's not like that.
Medical experts warn that groin injuries require meticulous rehab protocols, including progressive strength work, neuromuscular control drills, and gradual return to sport-specific actions. Skipping or compressing any step heightens the risk of re-injury and related compensatory problems across the kinetic chain. Yet, under the glare of primetime cameras, rehab sessions morph into truncated routines, and luxuries like aquatic therapy are sidelined for early on-court practice. Inadequate rehab not only threatens Clark's immediate comeback, but also her long-term health. When star power meets truncated therapy, the tragic irony is that the legend may sprint toward an untimely finish. The ripple effects extend to the broader women's sports landscape, where Clark's emergence offered a surge in youth participation and viewership. Grassroots programs report spikes in enrollment as young athletes hope to emulate her style. If Clark's career is derailed by avoidable mismanagement, it could chill that momentum. Parents and coaches might question investing time and money in girls basketball, fearing a system that fails to safeguard its brightest prospects. What began as a beacon of progress could be perceived as a cautionary story condemning ambition.
You have to be careful when you say like the Fever fans, because I don't think it's the Fever fans. I think it's the people that wanted Caitlin Clark to be a certain type of way, and they thought that.
Comparing protocols across leagues highlights stark differences. The NHL's strict concussion protocols, the NFL's mandatory rest periods, and the NBA's minute limit guidelines for rookies all demonstrate precautionary mindsets. The WNBA, despite strides in player support, lags behind in codified health safeguards. Top stars in other leagues enjoy insured contracts contingent on medical rest, giving teams financial incentives to prioritize recovery. Meanwhile, Clark's contract and the Fever's revenue model tie her presence directly to bottom-line success. Until that structural incentive shifts, financial imperatives will perpetuate risky decisions. At the union level, the WNBPA has raised concerns about collective bargaining over health and safety standards, but faces uphill battles negotiating with owners wary of ceding control. Players argue for clear guidelines on contact limits, return to play requirements, and independent medical evaluations, but these proposals clash with profit-driven agendas. The back and forth over these non-negotiables underscores a fundamental tension: the desire for elite competition versus the necessity of protective measures. If Clark's situation doesn't tip the scales, the league may remain mired in reactive fixes rather than proactive policies.
She was, and so they became Caitlin Clark fans, assuming that, and then they realized like, oh no, she's actually.
Beyond policy, the cultural mythos of playing through pain persists, venerating toughness over well-being. Athletes are lionized for pushing past injuries, their grit immortalized in highlight reels. That glorification, however, obscures the real toll. Chronic illnesses, mental health struggles, and abbreviated careers. Clark, raised in an era that celebrated iron will athletes, may feel compelled to follow that narrative, even against her better judgment. Changing the script requires not only rulebooks, but a cultural reset, valuing longevity and health as much as highlight plays. Fan activism has surged, with supporters launching online petitions demanding stricter officiating and transparent medical disclosure. Some sponsors have added pressure by publicly endorsing calls for player protection, recognizing that brand association with an injured athlete is a PR risk. This coalition of fans, sponsors, and advocacy groups shows that public opinion can shift the calculus. As social media campaigns trend, the Fever and the league face mounting scrutiny. Ignore it at the peril of eroding credibility and revenue. The stakes tied to Commissioner's Cup viewership illustrate how one athlete can pivot league fortunes. Advertisers are reportedly drafting contingency plans for diminished exposure if Clark remains sidelined. Declining ratings would force renegotiations of TV contracts, potentially slashing future media rights deals. Such financial contractions could hamper league expansion, salary growth, and investment in developmental programs. The domino falls not just on Clark, but on every player and staff member reliant on the league's prosperity. Meanwhile, sports scientists emphasize that early career injuries can have cascading implications, increasing the likelihood of degenerative joint conditions later in life. Without careful load management, a 21-year-old star could face mobility issues by her late 20s. That sobering projection demands a paradigm shift, treating professional athletes as long-term investments rather than expendable assets. If the WNBA embraces that view, policies may evolve. If not, another star's premature exit could beckon. Looking ahead, adopting wearable technology for real-time monitoring of fatigue markers and muscle strain could preempt injuries. If Clark's team invested in such analytics, they might detect early warning signs and adjust training loads accordingly. Other franchises have begun piloting these systems with encouraging results, yet the Fever have lagged in their integration. Embracing innovation could transform how the league navigates athlete health. If you're furious about this patchwork approach to player safety, drop a basketball in the comments. Don't forget to subscribe and like for more no-holds-barred coverage of Caitlin Clark and the WNBA's biggest stories.